Hello everyone and welcome to online English class. I am Gabriella and today we're going to talk about a very current topic, which is quarantine. I'm sure you're all familiarized with that. So we're going to see a little bit of quarantine vocabulary in English, and next we are going to see some words and expressions that have become very common during the quarantine. I think the most common word that we hear now is lockdown. Lockdown is a word that is being used in many countries of the world and is being used in English as it is, lockdown. And many people have been asking me, but what is the meaning of lockdown? Well, in a quarantine context, lockdown means having your entry and your movement controlled. So it basically means that your ability of coming and going is restricted. So we have seen many states, many countries where the lockdown has been very severe, where you really could not leave your house unless it was to do something vital, like buying food or going to a hospital. And some countries like Denmark, where the lockdown was a little lighter. It was recommended that you didn't leave your house unless necessary, but you could leave maybe to take a walk or to ride your bike. It was possible even though we were in lockdown. So we have an example sentence. Due to the virus, parts of the city are in lockdown. So which means that in parts of the city, you cannot come and go freely. You need to be in your house and wait for a permission to come and go. So another expression we've been seeing a lot is keep distance. To keep distance, which means to stay away from each other, to have a space between you and another person. So we have here two people who are a meter away from each other, and that's the new rule in Denmark, to be 1 meter away from each other. Before it was 2 meters, and we need to keep distance. We need not to be so close to each other, to give space to the other person. So an example is at the supermarket. So you should keep distance in the supermarket. As you can see in the picture, you have people in line, and they are all keeping their distance, which means they are leaving some space between each other. Something that is happening a lot now is people who are working from home. Still, a lot of people are working in this home office system, and it's another word, another expression we hear a lot, home office. And we see in the picture, she's working from home. That's what it means. So she's using her living room as a home office. Many of us are using our living rooms, our rooms as a home office because it was something sudden, which means it was something we were not prepared. And most of us don't have an office at home, so we have to improvise, just like she's doing in the picture, and she's using her living room and her dining table as a home office. Some families enjoy homeschooling. What is happening now with homeschooling? Well, in Denmark, children are back at school, but in many countries, as here before, children could not go to school. So parents were homeschooling. To homeschool means to teach your child at home. Many children were having online lessons with their teachers, and in other countries they still are having online classes. But what's the job of the parent? Is to study with the child, is to make sure the child is paying attention to the class, to make sure the child can understand what is being explained. And this is very difficult. But some families really enjoy this time, and they really enjoy homeschooling. It's very different for other families because it can be very difficult to explain some subjects, to study, and to make your child have a routine at home. the same school routine. So some families really don't like homeschooling, as we can see in the picture. Something that is also happening now is that many people are exercising at home. Gyms are closed all over the world. In Denmark, they're still closed, and people need to keep fit, so they are exercising from home. Not only they are creating home offices, they are also creating home gyms, or they are just, like this picture, having a mat and doing their exercises. You can go online, and I'm sure your gym has online classes. Now there's online classes of everything, so you can exercise with your computer and make sure to stay fit at home. Also, a practice that is becoming very popular is meditating. So others are meditating. You can also find meditation groups online or teachers of yoga that help you with meditation, and it's something you can do to keep your mind sane during this period of isolation. And for the good news, restrictions are being eased. This is also something we hear in the news a lot. Some countries are easing the restrictions, or restrictions are being eased, which means that the restrictions we had are being lifted, that we can now do things that we could not do before. So, for example, children can now go to school and play together again. So you can see here children outside. Most children are still not completely back to normal. They are playing outside. They are not playing so much inside. And maybe they're not touching so much, but they are playing together again, and they are going to school again, because these restrictions are being eased. And now for the things we can do again. So let's pay attention to the use of the verb can, and let's talk about permission. In this case, things that we can do, things that we are permitted to do. So now in Denmark, we can go to cafes and restaurants again. We can go back to work, some of us. We can go to museums and zoos. Children can go to school. Children can play with friends again. So this is all things we are permitted to do. And in this case, we're using the verb can to show the things we are allowed to do. So we're going to see the modal verb can with the meaning of permission. So we can use can to say that someone has permission to do something. For example, we see the children here. Children can play together again. So we can say that in Denmark, children are allowed, or they have permission to play together again. So instead of saying they are allowed or they have permission, we use the modal verb can. So about the modal verb can. The modal can is commonly used modal verb in English. So it's used to express ability, opportunity, request, to grant permission, which we just saw, and to show possibility or impossibility, things that are possible or impossible. So modal verb can. So can is the same for all subjects. We don't add an s in the third person like other verbs because it's a modal. So it stays the same way. We can say I can, you can, he, she, it can, we can, they can. So it stays the same way. The verb that comes after can is in the infinitive without to. So this also doesn't change. So I can speak Spanish, which means it is possible for me to speak Spanish. I have the ability to speak Spanish. So you see, can stays the same way and speak also the same way. He can swim well also doesn't change. The verb can stays in the same way and the next verb stays in the infinitive without to. So we can see our neighbor in the garden. They can play the guitar. Negative form. So to form the negative, we add not. After can, to form one word, we say cannot, and we write like that all together. And we can also contract the negative to form can't. So can't and cannot is the same thing. Examples: I cannot play the piano. We can't go to the cinema tonight. She cannot speak French very well. He can't drive a car. So you can use any of the forms for the negative, cannot or can't. In the question form, we say to form the question, we change the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. The main verb is still in the infinitive without to. So in the case of can, we don't use an auxiliary do or does or did to form the sentences in the question form. We just put can on the other position. So, where can I buy an ice cream? Can I go to the party, please? Can you speak Japanese? And for short answers, I say, can I sit here, please? Yes, you can. Can you speak Chinese? No, I can't. So we have here a little board with can and could, so you can see how to use the verbs and when we use could. So for general ability in the present, like I can speak English, we use can. For general ability in the past, I could play the piano when I was younger, we use could. So could is used also as the past of can. We have asking for permission. Can I borrow your pen, please? And if you're going to ask for permission in a more polite way, we use could. Could I use your bathroom, please? So could can be used as the past of can, or it can be used in a more polite way. When you don't want to use can, you use could. I have here a practice for you. It's a very simple one. So let's practice and let's think what a dog can and can't do, what a fish can't and can't do, what adults can do that children can't do. And after you do the practice, I do have the answers for you in the next slide, so you can check if you did it right. Remember to use the forms of can in the negative, cannot or can't. And here are the answers for you. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Everyone, please stay safe. Remember to pray for everybody who is in countries with very high numbers of the pandemic and they're not doing so well, and people who are sick that also need our prayers now. Keep safe. Keep your family safe. And have a very, very great day. Thank you so much.